All right, so back to the 7 habits again. I'll go through number 3, stick with what you know and drill deep. Number 4, earn more by learning more. Number 5, chunk down big goals and add accountability. Number 6, spend less than you earn and invest the rest. And number 7, let go of the small stuff. And I know you hit on, with what we just talked about, I know you had hit on a few of these already.
Sure.
Of those 7 habits, what do you find to be probably the most crucial, the most important?
Well, I do think that that sticking with what you know is very important. It's also very much like drilling deep. I find that humans when they get mastery, they get bored. And that's really when they should really drill deeper, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's an important one for sure.
I agree, yeah. And I love this comment that you make here. I want you to touch on it. Knowledge without action is wasted potential.
Yes. Action is just doing it, it depends, it really depends on your behavioral style, right? So there's a lot of people that jump into things and they don't know what they're doing and they just jump in and do it. And so they could benefit by slowing down. Mostly that's not the case. Mostly it is people that they're afraid of failing or they're afraid of making a mistake and they sit by the sidelines too long. Right now, for example, is the market too hot? Maybe we should sit on the sidelines and wait. I'm not sitting on the sidelines and waiting. I have a good idea that we are closer to the top than we are the bottom.
Right.
So I will invest slightly differently based on that. But if we try to time the market, you'll sit on the sidelines all day. I would have started saying, I pulled my money out of the stock market when the Dow was at 17,000. So I got out way too early. It's too hard to predict the top or the bottom. But when you know you're closer to the top, I'm a little more prudent about it. I'm a little more cautious about making sure the cash flow is good and will cover, so that I don't have a problem if there's a shift, when there's a shift. So I'll change the investing a little bit, but I'm always in it. And what happens is if you have an ascending market, let's say you have a market that's, it's rapidly growing, you're like, wow, where's this going to go before it crashes, right? Maybe that market's going up 8% a year, right? So if you sit on the sidelines, unless it crashes the day after you decide to sit on the sidelines, you're going to get some good appreciation before it, right? I'm like, hey, the market's hot. It might crash any day. I'm going to go ahead and invest anyway. And then if it crashes a year from now, I've got another 8% cushion, right?
Right.
And then if you wait another year, now you've got a compounded cushion, right? And so, you might find that just waiting is not going to help you, right? Sorry, that was
Right.
Get in and do it. There's a funny. I love to I love to learn all sorts of stuff from books, and I love it when I can just read the title, and I know that's all I need to know. Oh wow, that's why you can't have such a great title, right? You have something that's like, you got to open the book, right?
Wealth Can't Wait.
Right.
I read
Right.
that title.
Right.
I'm like, I know what this is about. I
and
want to read it.
there's an action element to that too, right?
Yeah.
Like let's get on it. But there's a book which I didn't read, and the title was "You Can't Learn How to Ride a Bicycle in a Seminar." And so you actually could, right? You could say, okay, well, let me show you the physics of it, and the faster you go, kind of the easier it gets, and but at the end of the day, you got to get out and sit on the bicycle and learn as you do. And there's an aspect to that. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be foolhardy or lose or be dumb about it. I would get in the game. I would do it together with somebody that has a track record of success, and I would roll up my sleeves and do it.
Well, you hit on one of the questions that I had for you regarding like the current market. As we know, the economy is doing great. Home values have increased tremendously from California, from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Sure.
So someone who's looking to get into investments right now,
correct.
we hear a lot of comments, but I don't want to buy at the height at
Correct.
at the height of the market. I should wait until it's more of a buyer's market, when the prices come back down again. Okay, so you kind of hit on that.
Sure.
Occasionally you'll get lucky and you will find a home that obviously there's some kind of reason that they need to sell it for a much lower amount than it's actually worth. What do you say about purchasing something in this market as an investment property?
So you said, you asked that, you queued me up for a couple of good answers. First of all, I certainly see people that are coming and looking for a steal. They want the deal that they do to be a steal. And if it's a good market and it's well marketed, there are no steals.
Right.
Okay? And the flip side of which is whatever buyer buys in that particular market in any market has by definition overpaid because they're willing to pay at least $1 more than everybody else in the whole entire market.
Right.
That's how you're the successful bidder. Okay? So you can make an argument that anytime you're a successful buyer, you have essentially overpaid, unless you get a steal. But here's the thing. In the 700 units that I have, there was not one that was a steal. Okay, do I look for deals that have barriers of entry, that cause a problem for other people, and therefore I can get an asymmetric upside? Yes, for sure. But very rarely do I get something like, oh, hey, nobody's seen this before. We're going to sell it to you at a price lower than market. That's not even really fair.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
So that's not the way I do it. And that's going to be the case for any market. And so what was the rest of the question?
Why would someone want to pay that? Yeah, I mean,
right. So
down
right.
this
Okay.
amount.
Yeah. Okay. So like if you're at the bottom of the market, and you're going to be the buyer, so therefore you pay $1 more than anybody else. Okay, great. You've done great. If you're at the top of the market, you pay $1 more than anyone else. Now you feel like you didn't do well. So first of all, one of the ways that I never lost money in real estate in any deal that I did is it has the cash flow, so it can support itself even through a downturn market. I should know a lot about real estate. I feel like I do know quite a bit about real estate. I bought this house at the absolute minute before the market crashed. And the house lost, let's say, and it lost an outsized amount. Okay, so within 6 months, the house had gone down close to 30% in value, and that's a heck of a kick in the knee, for sure. And it made me nervous, to be honest, right? And this was a total rehab, so I had the cash set aside to rehab. I didn't have to worry about that. But I'm like, wow, should I really be throwing money in on top of this terrible purchase, right? And I asked a bunch of realtors, right? I certainly am in the business myself, but I'm asking the best realtors I know in the area, and they all said the same thing. Well, you're going to live in it, right? And I go, yeah. They go, don't worry about it. And sure enough, I put the money in the house, and it's years later, and it's come all the way back and then some. This house is not as nice as the house across the street, but they did sell the house across the street for over $8 million. I mean, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get your value out of it if you do it right. So more directly, if you're going to sit on the sideline and you're going to wait for a steal, go ahead. Okay, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. That's not the way I've built the wealth that I have. It hasn't been buying steals. And if you're going to sit on the sidelines and go, well, there'll be a better time to buy. Maybe there will, maybe there won't. We're at a time of historically low interest rates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you can afford to buy and hold, and you buy right, I think you can buy at the top of the market and do great.
Right.
One of the best things in a long time I bought 18 months ago, and certainly was not the bottom of the market 18 months ago. And when I paid, everybody said, oh my gosh, that's top dollar, So, I'm looking for value inside of a deal, not a steal. And value inside of a deal is what is the value I can add to the property.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the keys.
So it's not always about getting getting the property for the lowest amount possible. You are looking at the potential. One of the things that you said is when you're purchasing a property, you're looking for a property that is not, it's more in a neighborhood that is actually coming about,
Yes.
and you're going to get
Yep.
one that is not that needs a lot of work done to it.
Yeah.
So you'll go in and refurbish that home, and especially like you said, in neighborhoods that are up and coming.
Correct.
And that right there, oh, that is
Correct.
smart, very smart. Yeah.
Well, you're getting two values inside of one property, and I believe it's very much like creating a market.
Right.
So you're creating your own market inside of that one property.
Right.
So if you buy a totally decked out house in a really nice neighborhood, there's no upside for you.
Nowhere for it to go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, if you buy in a great neighborhood and it needs to be rehabbed, okay, now there's upside room. So if the market corrects, let's say the market goes down, the biggest really biggest downturn we've had in a long time was the last one, and it was between 20 and 30% depending on where you were.
Right.
If you can build 15-20% of upside into a property, right? So you're buying the dilapidated property, right?
Right.
And then the second mini market that you're creating or additional value is if you're finding a neighborhood that's advancing.
Right.
Okay. So now, the neighborhood's getting better. That's another it's its own version of a market, right?
Right.
So now I'm buying the house that needs work in a market that's ascending.
Exactly.
A marketplace, right?
Right.
A neighborhood that's gentrifying or whatever. And then if the market crashes, the ones that get really hit hard are the ones that have no upside.
Nowhere to go. Yeah.
Right. In 25 years, the only piece of property that I ever bought that I did not follow those three rules was fairly recently. 3 or 4 years ago, I bought a second home in Palm Springs, and it's beautiful. It's totally done. It's not crazy expensive because it's out in Palm Springs. It's on the end of the cul-de-sac. It effectively is the nicest home in the neighborhood,
Right.
which is exactly what I counsel people not to do.
do.
But, I justify, I go, hey, well, I don't want to rehab my own thing here. I just want to have a place I can go relative to the prices around here. I can still get, it's not so bad. And you know what? The market's hot
Yeah.
and the property value has increased. And you know what? I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it because I'm going to get out of, with a profit, the only property in 25 years that I've bought that did not follow those rules.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So run, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think, right?